Just like how Zoro and Sanji a few chapters ago said that once all this is over, they're going to be able to have a glimpse at Luffy being the king of pirates, I think that we, as the audience, the readers of One Piece, just had a true glimpse at Luffy really sitting down to become the king of pirates. Because when he rode up on top on Momo and you saw him ride into battle, there was something just so majestic and so crazy about that I was just like, yo, this is going to be amazing when the anime gets to this. Because, like, I think all of us that are reading the manga of One Piece has probably heard how good the anime of One Piece is. And I cannot begin to imagine how good the anime for One Piece is going to be when you see Luffy arrive right in front of Kaido on top of Momo's head, riding basically a dragon. There's just something so crazy about that. And I mean, like, just to see how far Luffy has come to this very point to actually just stand before Kaido and put up a fight and it's like, I'm going to be the king of pirates and, you know, you can't defeat me, basically. I love everything about that because it's like, this is the fight. This is the fight. This is potentially the conclusion of this arc, or at the very least, of Kaido versus Luffy. And I'm happy to see that Yamato is there as well, because judging by the way this is being structured by Oda, is that most likely you're going to have Momo go up against Kaido's dragon form, and, you know, you're going to have Luffy as well fighting, and Yamato's going to be there. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic. It's not just going to be like Luffy versus Kaido. We're going to see potentially a 3v1 fight, which I think is really unique, especially for like a finale of a fight for a major arc like this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Oda-sensei wants to do with the upcoming chapters of One Piece. But with that out of the way, I do want to take a few moments to just talk about the artwork that was actually within this chapter. And, I mean, I think everybody knows that Oda-sensei is really good with artwork. I mean, he has perfected his craft over the 20-plus years that he has been writing the manga of One Piece. But even to this very day, he still does not stop at really making some excellent panel work that really just blows you away. Like, this panel right here alone is a perfect example of just why One Piece continues to reign as one of the best manga of all time. And I mean, when I look at the artwork of just like this hit against Kaido, it reminds me of the fight with Luffy versus Katakuri. Because a long time ago, when I was talking about the Katakuri versus Luffy fight, I remember kind of diving in as like, this fight is ridiculous, because when you see the artwork, the effort that Oda put into, let's say, Katakuri's line work when he was drawing Luffy versus Katakuri, it was something that just looked so kind of distinct in comparison to the normal stuff you would see in the One Piece manga. And I was like, imagine if Oda was to write, let's say, like a seinen series that wasn't kind of stuck to the One Piece type of artwork. Like, if he wanted to do a completely different art style, I feel like he actually would be capable of it. Because when you just see that panel work of Kaido, it really just stood out to me. Easily the best looking panel of the entire chapter, if we're not counting Luffy riding on top of Momo and arriving to look right at Kaido's face. But yeah, just artwork, 10 out of 10. I really think I just need to take a few moments to talk about that, because it's just like, it really stood out to me. Now with all that out of the way, let's actually talk about Momo for a second. So Momo is officially an adult and officially a dragon. And I think that what we get to see from this entire chapter is just that even though Momo has obviously been forced to age a certain direction, basically to be older now, to be able to fight Kaido and be a dragon, you know, he still has that mentality of a child still. I mean, he is obviously getting a little bit more mature, and, you know, he has went through a lot throughout the journey with Luffy. You can see that still some of his childlike antics are still there, especially with him just being completely afraid of heights. I mean, it is a normal phobia, a normal thing to be afraid of, I think. Like, I mean, if you're afraid of heights, I mean, I wouldn't fault you. I mean, literally, imagine if you're literally like a giant dragon and you're flying above the clouds, or even lifting your head, it's going to be kind of disorientating. Just imagine how crazy it would be, like, suddenly you're a small kid, and then all of a sudden you're an adult, and already the perspective of everything's just so different, but then you transform into a dragon. You gotta imagine how different that looks. So I can't fault Momo for being afraid of heights, but I do wonder if he's going to be able to completely overcome that situation in the upcoming chapters. I'd like to see that little growth going on with him really manning up to be the shogun of Wano, and, you know, just seeing him actually fully display the powers and capabilities of this dragon form he has that we've already seen from Kaido, which that's something I want to talk about. So as we know, Kaido has quite a few abilities when it comes to his form, using his dragon form. We have seen him use like a giant laser that's wiped out a mountain. We have seen him be able to fly vast distances. He's a gigantic dragon and he has a lot of abilities that are just absolutely ridiculous from what we've seen so far. And I do wonder if Momo is capable of replicating all of those abilities we've seen. I'm going to assume that will definitely be the case, and he will definitely need to replicate them. So I wonder if Oda might actually put in like a quick little blast, maybe with, Kaido shooting like his, breath, his fire breath basically, and you have, Momo have to do the exact same thing to be able to defend Yamato and Luffy. That'd be kind of cool. Just imagine seeing like two dragons going at each other and seeing them like going up in the sky and like wrestling or whatever. Just, that sounds something like out of like a dream. Like, I never thought I would see, like, two dragons in One Piece potentially going up against each other and fighting in the sky. Like, I can already imagine it right now in my head. Like, Luffy is literally on the top of Momo's head, and they're riding into the sky. Kaido's chasing them. They're literally fighting in the sky, and you see Luffy just bouncing around with his Snake Man form, just hitting the crap out of Kaido, and Yamato as well as running down the body of, Kaido, and also hitting him. I could just imagine how cool that's gonna look in the manga, but I can't even imagine what it's gonna look like in the anime, because that's what I feel like the direction we're going, if it continues this 3v1 fight. Now, here's the thing. Is Luffy gonna actually fight by himself? That is what I'm wondering, because typically when it comes to these finales, the final fights, when, for a One Piece arc, usually it turns out to be like a 1v1, and it's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but I do wonder if Luffy is going to actually have to fight Kaido 1v1, and is Momo and Yamato going to be kicked out of the fight? That is a potential possibility. However, I would like the different shakeup if Yamato and Momo are there to be able to fight Kaido, which that's something I actually want to talk about when it comes to Kaido. So we got a little bit of insight to Kaido's mentality, something that I personally have been wanting for a very long time. I talked about this in the chapter review I made last week, and I was like, Kaido, there's still a lot of mystery about him. We don't really know everything about Kaido. We just know that he has a lot of this, I guess, strength. He believes in power. He doesn't trust anyone, etc. We've seen it constantly, but we just don't really know much about Kaido. And when you see this chapter, and he was kind of talking to Yamato, like, hey, nobody likes you. Nobody, really is happy for you. They fear you. They don't actually care for you. It feels like Kaido was, self-reflecting. Like, he was literally just speaking to himself when he was yelling at Yamato, which I think kind of hints at his overall backstory. Basically, most likely at one point in time, he wanted to fit in. He wanted to probably be a part of a group or whatever. Maybe that's why he was a part of the Rocks Pirates. And he wanted to fit in, but he realized that because of how he looks, because of his strength, because of everything, people feared him. Nobody was really, wanting to be a comrade with him, wanting to be his friend, family, whatever, because, they just feared him. They were scared of what he actually was. So eventually he just rolled with it and he decided to be what he is to this day, which I feel like that's kind of what he's trying to beat into Yamato. He's beating in his experiences into Yamato, like, look, Yamato, you're going down a path right now to where one day people are just going to fear you, run away from you, and not really care about you. But I feel like that's where Kaido's overall insight has become very distorted, because his experiences, obviously, you can learn from, but it doesn't mean that every person is going to experience the exact same thing. We've seen countless characters that have changed or been through horrible experiences, and they've had a completely different environment change, and they've had a better life. I mean, let's look at Nami, let's look at Chopper, big examples right there. So when you see how he was yelling at Yamato, I don't feel like Yamato's gonna face the exact same thing as Kaido did, but Kaido definitely went through some stuff. I really am wanting that flashback, because let's be honest, it's like, we already have one for Big Mom. I would love to have a flashback for, Kaido. I mean, we had briefly, but stuff with Whitebeard too, so Kaido deserves one. I think he, being such an important character, someone that's been just such a heavy focus for so many years now, he needs to have a proper backstory and a proper explanation to why he is like he is. Like, why was he always getting, drunk and then jumping off sky islands and stuff? Like, that's something I want to know more about, too. I mean, obviously, we could theorize, we could go by what was already told, but I feel like there needs to be more explained to everything. But, for now, though, I think that, Kaido, we're finally getting more info about him, and the final fight is officially underway, because it's like, We can see it. It's clear in our eyes right now. Luffy's arrived. The fight is beginning. Cannot wait to see what's going to happen next. But I think that's my overall thoughts of this week's chapter of One Piece. It's a good chapter. Great setup chapter. Great artwork. Cannot wait. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy this week's chapter of One Piece? Did you hate this week's chapter of One Piece? I doubt that. I really doubt anyone really hated this chapter because it was a really good chapter. And with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.